What's up guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Realistic Career Mode. It's episode number 25. And we start today's episode off with a look at our first 4 fixtures of the new Premier League season as we enter August. We start off with the Red Devils at home, then Aston Villa away, Wolves at home, and then Chelsea away at Stamford Bridge in our final game of the month as well. We also have an academy update and also another bid for one of our youngsters here, Alan Coughlin, who came out of the academy last year. Looked okay as well, just 16 years old, lest we forget. We trained his week for from 1 to 5. I love the development plans in this year's FIFA, man. Such a great addition to training from EA this year. Because we rejected it, Real Sociedad putting a bid in for the 16-year-old Welshman. Yeah, can't see that happening. And also an academy update as well. As you can see, there are some really decent players in here. A couple of 82 to 88 potentials. I think McGregor, the right back, 86 to 92, looks like the standout so far. And as I mentioned before, as a bid here comes in for Ben Gibson, St Etienne want to take him, and it's the 4th bid we've had for our 29-year-old so far this summer, but none of them have been realistic, so of course we reject it. With the academy, mentioned it many times before, I'm finding it really hard to find a couple of positions that, you know, just don't seem to be unearthing gems in this year's FIFA CM. I mentioned before, like, it seems like every single year there's like one position where you get a job lot of great academy players, and then like there's another one where you just don't find anyone. Goalkeepers in this year's FIFA CM, where are they in the academy? Like, I can't find any decent youth goalkeepers. We have one in our Dresden save, of course, Sasha Hubner, but he wasn't amazing per se. I'm yet to find like a star goalkeeper from youth scouting in this year's FIFA CM. Just yet to happen for me so far. And also wingers as well. I know it's kind of surprised for me to say that with Charles Bull, who of course came out of the academy in our QPR save at the start of the FIFA year, was of course the star of that save. But we haven't had too many other wingers other than him that have been amazing at the academy. And also strikers as well. I'd love to get a great striker from the academy so far, but it's yet to happen for me. At the moment, it seems like defence-minded players are where it's at right now when you're youth scouting in this year's FIFA CM. Anyway, speaking of defence-minded players, the first game of today's episode and the first game of the new season as well, the Red Devils coming to take us on here at Turf Moor, and Samuel Umtiti gave the Red Devils the lead here heading in a corner as we were trying to withstand some early pressure in this game, but it was relentless from Solskjaer's side as we went 1-0 down. We would respond directly afterwards though. Nice little build up on the edge of the area. Callum Wilson rolls it across nets. Aaron Connolly, who bangs in his first of the year to make it 1-1 and gets back on level terms. It was a strange game as well because like the Red Devils dominated in the early stage, didn't do much after we got back on level terms until around the hour mark when Bruno Fernandes should have made it 2-1 and put the visitors back in front. But mentioned it before, Nick Pope, one of my favourite goalkeepers this year at FIFA, makes an incredible save there and keeps it 1-1. And in stoppage time, still tied, hadn't played especially well. Sometimes it doesn't come down to who's been the better team, but who's more clinical when it matters most. Stoppage time, he's been one of the stars of the save, and he's done it once again. Reece Nelson signing permanently from Arsenal last season. What a decision it was to bring him back on a permanent deal after his loan spell back in Season 1. Wins us the game with basically the final kick as we complete the turnaround and get all 3 points. I'll be honest here, did not deserve it one bit. Like, I really did not deserve it at all. I had like 2 shots on target in the entire game and they both found the back of the net. It was one of those games where I win, but I feel a bit sheepish afterwards because, as I always say, I don't show the highlights in a biased way. I present the highlights package incredibly fairly, and I'll never try and sweep anything under the rug. In the games I've got dominated, I'll show you I've been dominated, you know, and I haven't played especially well. That was one of those games where we were stood, to be fair, some heavy pressure early on before Titi made it 1-0. Then after we got back on level terms, we kind of weathered the storm completely and weren't under too much pressure. But yeah, I'll be honest, it didn't really deserve to win that game. But like I said, sometimes it comes down to who's more clinical as opposed to who played better. So we started with a 2-1 victory on the opening day of the season, but for our first away game of the campaign, Friday night away, Villa Park here, and this was gutting, man. Callum Wilson, our top scorer last year, our FA Cup final winning hero against Arsenal with his brace at Wembley, scores his first of the campaign after he was 3rd highest scorer in the league last year and our top scorer. Goes in for a duel with Dan Axel Zagadou, goes down, stays down, and whilst he would soldier on eventually, I would take him off. And from that passage of play, it seems to happen to me quite often in this year's FIFA when a player of mine goes down and they stay down as well, or temporarily reduced to 10 men. the AI will go and score against me. Like, I find it really hard, and I guess I know, again, I'm a man shorter, so of course it's going to be more difficult to contain when you're a man light, but either way, Aston Villa take advantage, get themselves back on level terms, but 4 minutes before the break would restore our lead. Josh De Silva, what a great signing he's been from Brentford back in the January transfer window of Season 1, puts us back in front, great through ball by Aaron Connolly as we get ourselves the lead once more. So 2-1, Burnley back in front, though Aston Villa would respond in the second half on the stroke of the hour. A bit of an unfortunate goal, this one, great save by Nick Pope initially, but a rebound coming straight back to the hosts, who would find themselves their second equaliser of the game. So twice we surrendered the lead here away at Villa Park with 5 minutes to go, a chance to win an absolute thriller. And I just couldn't hit the target with Tyrese Campbell. On for the injured Callum Wilson, fires it wide. He had a great end of the season run last year, Tyrese Campbell, but sadly couldn't get his first of the year. But he'll certainly have some chances in the next 3 months, because he'll be starting alongside Connolly due to the injury of Callum Wilson. Yeah, he stayed on the pitch, but I took him off around half time. And Callum Wilson's injury was a broken toe. So tough start there for Callum Wilson. Last year, third highest scorer in the Premier League. Again, the FA Cup final winning hero for us, and taken down into the second game. 20 minutes into the second game of the season, and now down for 3 months as well. Look, he's got the injury prone tag, so of course we were going to expect it at some point, but it's always frustrating when one of your star players goes down. But again, I mention this every single time this happens. When you get an injury like that, I know it's annoying, guys. I know it's irritating. I know it's frustrating. I know it can make you angry at times, but trust me, guys, it's good for the save. It keeps it more realistic. It makes it more challenging. You're supposed to see these sort of things every now and then. And unfortunately, whilst again it is frustrating, I have to say, it is realistic at times. So Wilson down with a 3-month injury. We then sold one of our, well, not youngsters anymore, but Alan Phillips, one of our squad's central midfielders. He's now gone on a permanent deal, so happy to get some money for that. And for the third game of today's episode, back at Turf Moor here, taking on Wolves. So of course, just appointing their new manager in last week. Taking on Wolves, taking us on here at Turf Moor, 17 minutes in. Oh my goodness gracious me, just like against Aston Villa. Another injury to one of our star players. Dwight McNeil goes up for an aerial duel, and I tell you, they are very common where you see an injury develop in this year's FIFA. Happens an awful lot. Interestingly enough, the animation showed that he went down holding his shoulder or holding his elbow perhaps, but when the camera cut was made, it then showed him holding his knee. I really hope that in future versions of FIFA, EA realised that in order to keep immersion, you need to make that consistent. You can't show me a player clutching his elbow or his shoulder or his arm in some part of his arm, basically, one moment, and then like 30 seconds later when there's a camera cut, he's holding his ankle and he's probably broken it. Like, you know, you've got to be more consistent to really take away from the realism, the immersion. But Dwight McNeil, one of our star players, taken down and forced off, and soon after that Wolves will get themselves in front as well. Didn't really get into this game, to be honest. Don't know why, but I just wasn't able to be as aggressive when going forward. Maybe it was due to the absence of Callum Wilson, and also knowing as well that, you know, last season after the signing of Tyrese Campbell back in January, we tried Campbell and Wilson together a lot. They did well together. We had Wilson and Connolly playing together most of the season. They had a great partnership, but we never ever tried Connolly and Campbell together. And strike duos and strike partnerships, chemistry is really important. If you're not in sync with one another, you're not going to play as well. So yeah, that does concern me quite a bit. Wilson was always starting alongside, again, either Aaron or Tyrese. Now, the young duo need to start and link up together. Maybe that's why in this game I just wasn't as good when going forward and didn't really create anything, because their partnership, their chemistry, their link-up play wasn't the best. Or maybe it's the fact I was just beaten by the better team, because Wolves scored 2 late goals, including an absolute cracker from Ruben Neves, freaky on the edge of the area, but answers on a postcard. How is this an own goal for club captain Ben Mee? The ball had already crossed the line. Like, how is that going down as an own goal? After Morgan Gibbs White fired Wolves 2-0 up. That went down as an own goal. Wolves would win it by 3-0, but really that was a Ruben Neves goal. We know that. And another frustrating injury as we see. Dwight McNeil goes down with a dislocated shoulder, so God knows why he was holding his leg in that camera cut there. But yeah, McNeil down with a 2-month injury. So in back-to-back games, serious injuries for our 2 star players. Callum Wilson down for 3 months, Dwight McNeil down for 2. And this is even though we just started the season, this is a tough time for them to get injured as well, because we're just starting a campaign off. We've only won one of our first 3 Premier League games. We just had a heavy defeat there against Wolves. And of course, don't forget, in the next episode, we'll have the draw for the Europa League group stage. And those players are going to miss at least half of the group games on the Thursday night. Fixture congestion is going to be a problem for us this season, playing those Thursday night games. To miss 2 of our star players for, again, about half of the group, That's tough. That's really, really concerning, and it makes me wonder, with still quite a bit of money left in the budget, around 20 million, whether we need to invest not on one decent player, maybe 2 or 3 to cover for squad depth this season in what will be a physically demanding and grueling season. So yeah, lost again there to Wolves, and our final game of the episode was West Ham in the Carabao Cup second round. This was drawn as I was simulating through after the first 3 Premier League games, and taking on the Hammers here. Now, I know we got a great record in the FA Cup, back-to-back finals and winning it last year, but as I mentioned before, look, I'll take the FA Cup seriously, but not the Carabao Cup. So I threw out a backup side in this game, lost by 2-1. West Ham scored the first 2 goals in the first half, and Ross Connolly did grab a consolation and his second of the season in all competitions. We did lose and we are out of the Carabao Cup, so a tough start to the season for Burnley. We know it's going to be physically challenging this year, playing in Europa League and having all those Thursday night games, but already 2 defeats to our name, both of those coming at home as well. Just a 1 win in our first 4 in all competitions and 2 star players going down as well. Tough start to what will be a tough season. That was this episode of Realistic CM though, guys. We thank you for watching. If you enjoyed it, if you did, please drop a like. Much love to you all. Have a fantastic day, and I'll see you for the next episode of Realistic CM featuring a transfer deadline day signing and a draw for the Europa League group stage as well very soon.